Good afternoon, my amazing class.
Good afternoon, my amazing teacher.
Okay, so was it your class that I did 1, 2, and 3 with yesterday?
You did 4, 2.
Okay, so I did 1, 2, 3, and 4 with y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, then we are just gonna start on 5 and 6. Get it? Got it? Did I answer 4 with y'all, or did I set it up with y'all? Okay. Okay, well, let's get started. We're looking at number 5, correct? Okay. If you forgot to put your numbers from least to greatest, you definitely got this wrong. So please make sure you put it from least to greatest. So least to greatest, we have 2, 3,
6, 7, 10, 14, 15.
You can always come back and count your numbers in this data set, which there's 7 of them, and then make sure you have 7 of them down here, and then that's just a way to double check. Especially when you have repeating numbers, you need to do that. But I don't think any here are repeating, are they? What would that be called if there's not any repeating numbers? No mode. Good job. Okay, so just looking at this here, let's go ahead and identify Q1, Q2, Q3. Okay, so from 2 to 15, 3 to 14, 6 to 10. What we have going on here is an exact what? Middle. And I asked you yesterday to draw a line straight down it because it's the exact middle, and that's called Q2, and that's going to be a number 7. Then when it's an exact middle, you can put your pencil right over it, and you can easily see your lower half, and then you can easily see your upper half. What is the middle of my lower? 3. Put a line with it and put Q1. Now my upper half, what's the middle?
14.
And we put Q3. I forgot to label them. Okay, so now I know my Q1, my Q2, and my Q3, and that stands for interquartile range is going to be found in my what? Q3 minus my Q1. So what was my Q3? 14. And then what was my Q1?
3.
And then I subtracted, I get 11. And I worked it all out here, so all I got to do is go and select my answer on number 5, and it's letter C. Get it? Got it? All right. Looking at number 6. My data from least to. All right, y'all help me out.
22, 25, 30, 34, 35, 80, 100, 120.
Did I skip any? Okay. Now, this is the hardest it will get. Put a star by it. This is the hardest interquartile range we'll get. And to determine interquartile range, we have to find all of our quartiles. Back at it. So we're going to label Q, 1, 2, and 3. So looking at this, first I need to we do the rainbow, or we work from outside in to determine our median. Now, we ran into a problem here. We have 2 numbers that are in the middle. So our middle is actually in between. What you have to do when your median is in between 2 numbers is add. So 34 plus 35 divided by 2 is going to be 34.5. 34.5. So 34 plus 35 divided by 2 is 34 point what? And that's my quartile 2. Now, do you know how I told y'all to put a pencil over it? Well, look in here. Can I technically put a pencil over it when it's not an exact middle? Okay, so what that happens is when you're looking here, your exact middle is in between. So you still have to count 34 and 35 a part of an upper and a part of a lower. So we got our upper and we have our lower. In the lower, we have 22, 25, 30, and 34. Well, when I look here, guess what? What happened?
It's not an exact middle.
It's in between 25 and what? And we have to do it again. 25 plus 30 divided by 2, and you get, and that's going to be our quartile 1. Now in our upper group, we have 35, 80, 100, and 120, and we see that there's not an exact middle, and we got to make one, and it's going to be 90. So we have our Q3. So that is the lesson from yesterday, identifying Q1, Q2, and Q3. Quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. Interquartile range is taking Q3 minus Q1. So our IQR here is going to be 90 minus 27.5, and you get
62.5.
all right, and make sure you go and answer that on your paper. And then some of you asked me yesterday, Miss Jones, I have enough room to work it down here. Awesome. But please remember, you needed to put your work from least to greatest. So my smallest number is going to be 14. 13. Then
14.
Then
15. 16. 19. 23. 25. 25. 25.
so y'all already knew this, but remember, as you're going, mark it out, especially on those repeating 25s. I walked around this morning, I did see some people have it only 2 times. Okay, so please make sure you are putting it there the correct amount of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers. Now I'm good to go. I double checked that I put them all from least to greatest. Now you can do the rainbow here to determine which one is your exact middle and what's your exact middle.
19.
You all agree? Okay. Draw a line, label it quartile 2, and again that was 19. Then I'm going to try to find my lower quartile, their quartile 1, and what is it going to be?
14.5.
Good, because it's in between 2 numbers. And you get lucky here because, guys, if it's in between 25 and 25, your quartile 3 is going to be 25. And if you need to check that in the calculator, 25 plus 25 is 50, divided by 2 is 25. Okay, so I have my quartile 1, I have my quartile 2 and 3, but it also said to label the IQR, and that's taking Q3 minus Q1, so 25 minus 14.5
is 10.5.
Do you all agree? You went ahead and labeled it if you worked it out like this, okay? So you didn't have to rewrite it on this paper because you worked it out here, okay? So we are done going over our homework. I need you to get out your bell work. This is going to be a review for your test tomorrow. We are not reviewing graphing inequalities. We are not reviewing any graphing inequalities. We've reviewed that all week this week. But I felt like we needed one more review on dividing fractions. All right, so looking at this one, Jill has 8 pounds of walnuts. She divides them into 1/3 pound bags. How many bags of walnuts did Jill make? So when I'm looking here, this one was easier for me to help identify the whole and the part because it tells you exactly what she is dividing. 1/3 is going to be my part, And 8 pounds is going to be, so I'm going to be lifting 8 divided by 1/3. And do I need to fix it before I begin working it? 8 over. So now I keep, however you need to remember it. And how did you get 24 over 1? You have to multiply going straight across. And 24 over 1 is?
24.
You did this one first? Okay, you just got lucky on this one. That ended up that way, and the reason why is because this was a whole number and they make that same one. So you got to make sure you're picking the whole and the part, especially if you're dealing with mixed numbers as your whole and your part. Okay. Number 9, Joanne and 3 friends. Is that 3 people?
That's 4 people.
4. They want to share half of a watermelon equally. What part of the whole watermelon will each person get? The whole watermelon is your whole. So what's my whole gonna be? 1 half is my whole. And then each person is what? It's gonna be 4 over 1, because each person is my
Part.
each is your what? Part. Now I keep, switch, and flip, keep, change, rearrange, multiply straight across, and I get 1/8. They put 1/6 there to see if you would add 2 and 4. All right. Candace cut 1/4 yard of ribbon into 3 equal pieces. What is the length of each new piece of ribbon? 1/4 of a ribbon is how much ribbon she has. That's your whole. 3 equal pieces. 3 pieces. That's your part. And then I keep, change, rearrange. 1 what? You're so cool. 1 what? 12. 1 what?
12.
All right. Now that was just review on dividing fractions. We're moving on to review of everything that we've learned this week. That will be on your pop test next week. So what we learned this week was about statistical questioning. It means your answers have to vary when you're asking a group of people. Don't forget to put your data sets from least to. You will be asked on your pop quiz to list the 3 measures of center, which is mean, median, and
Mode.
you will also be asked to list your measures of variability, which are range and interquartile range. Okay? So, on your pop quiz, you will only be asked to find the mean, median, mode, and range. I will not ask you to find IQR. Okay? I will not ask you to find IQR. What's IQR for?
Interquartile range.
You're going to have 1 more week of practice on that. Okay? Because I want to make sure you completely understand it before you're assessed on it. But if you're studying, mean, median, mode, and range are not hard to do. But you need to know how to tell the difference. Get it? Got it? Now, when you did this, how many of you said your median was 18? Nobody said their median was 18? Hey, thank you for being honest. You need to put a note down, everybody. I do. Least to greatest. And then once you have that, when I'm putting this least to greatest, what am I going to have listed first? Okay, what else?
18.
What else?
26, 32, 41, 46, 46.
Thank you. All right, so now that we have that situated, let's begin. So mean, go back up to the top and you can see that it says add all numbers and divide by the amount of numbers. You add them all up and divide by that amount of numbers. And what did y'all end up getting? You got a long decimal, didn't you?
Got 31.57142.
Okay, we'll stop at the 7 for now, okay? Just at least write it to the hundreds unless it tells you to round. Okay, so if you did not get that, you need to put a star by it. If you did not get it, if you got it wrong, put a star by it. What you need to do is make sure you add it all together and divide by, is it 7 numbers? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's 7.
Okay, because with median, you divide by 2 because you're adding how many numbers? 2 when you're trying to find the exact median. Okay. Now, let's find our median here. Do we have to even worry about adding 2 numbers together? No, the exact one is 32. My mode is the most frequent. 46. My range is max minus min. 34. Now, to practice our lesson from yesterday, and again, if you weren't here yesterday, here's a little mini lesson again, like our homework. First step is to identify the median, and we already did. What was our median?
32.
Label it Q2, and I like to put the numbers underneath in case it gets covered up top. All right, so Q2 and 32, and then if we have an exact, cover it with your pen. Now we can easily see the lower and upper half. 18 is going to be Q what? And then what's going to be Q3? So interquartile range, again, is taking Q3 and Q1 and subtracting them. And so 46 minus 18, you get. Okay. So that's just a review. Again, you are only going to be asked on your pop test next week is to do mean, median, mode, and range. I might have a bonus question on there for interquartile range. Okay. So make sure you are studying everything, and don't forget to put your data sets least to greatest. All right, so we're going to move on with our lesson. While we're moving on from our lesson, you can look up at the board to see what's coming up in the next few weeks while we're getting everything passed out. Alright guys, so for today's lesson we are learning about IQR again. So we're learning about interquartile range again, but we're going to learn a graph that makes interquartile range the best thing ever, okay? It will make it easy to read and easy to determine interquartile range. So at first, we're going to be creating these graphs, and if you can create it, then you can read it. But on a test, you will only have to read it. You will not have to create it. But you're going to learn how to what? Create it. Because again, if you can create this graph, if you can make this graph, you can definitely read the what? Graph. Okay? So, today lesson's not going to take long, and you're going to have some time to do your homework today. So let's begin and get this done. So if we're only talking about interquartile range today and a graph that helps us with interquartile range. It also helps us with two other things to determine our range. And when we are finding our interquartile range, what else do we always know? What's the first thing we do? Our median. So a box and whisker plot is good for these three things. It's mainly used when we're talking about IQR and range. When we're talking about IQR and range. And do y'all remember what kind of measures those are? Measures of variability. And then there's one measure of what's median? Center, the middle, right? Okay, but usually box and whisker plots, that graph is only used with variability. You do know what your median is though, okay? So a box and whisker plot shows variability. It says variability of the data along the number line. It shows quartiles. And remember, yesterday we learned that quartiles represent how many quartiles? What does quart mean?
4.
4. Now, we only listed how many? 3. Okay? And we will also, with the box and whisker plot, know our minimum value, our minimum number, and our maximum number or values, okay? However you want to represent that. So again, box and whisker plot shows the variability of data along a number line, and it shows the quartiles, quartile 1, 2, 3, even 4, and it shows your minimum number and your maximum numbers. So that's why we can find out what's the IQR and what's the range. Now, variability is how much data points differ from each other. You heard difference yesterday, and difference means to do what operation? Then to make a box and whisker plot, you need to identify all the quartiles. And we already know how to identify quartiles. We can identify Q1, Q2, and Q3. And what are quartiles divided into? How many equal parts?
4.
What's the first one that we find?
Q1. Q2.
Which one?
Median.
What's the median?
Q2.
Q2. Good job. So that second quartile is the median. And then the lower half of that data, the lower half we find Q1, which is the first. And then the upper half, Q3. Okay, so we already know how to do all of this. Then you make your boxes and your whiskers after you find those things. So then you create your boxes and your whiskers. Okay, so all this is listing here on step 1 through 6 is the same thing that we wrote on the notes up above. Okay, so I'm just going to write this down real quick, and it will make sense once we do it. Sound good? So let's just write down steps 1 through 6, and we'll talk about it as we'll do it in just a little bit. So make sure I do.
We do.
Now, okay, so now let's discuss how to make boxes. It's not paused.
It's frozen.
Oh, it's frozen.
You gotta unfreeze it.
Well, we are still live here, okay? All set.
You bet.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for letting me know the board was frozen. Oh, y'all are so sweet. Okay, hocus pocus.
Everybody focus.
So looking here, we're going to learn how exactly to make these box and whisker plots, but let's just do it like we've done the labeling, the Q1, Q3, Q2, and Q3. There we go, Q1, Q2, Q3. First of all, is my data set from least to greatest? Yes. So do I need to rewrite it? No. I need you to identify Q1, Q2, and Q3. Go. So you first find your what?
Q2.
And we can do it by working from the outside in or doing the rainbow, correct? And remember, I told you to identify these by drawing a vertical line. So Q2 is going to be what number?
5.
We have an exact middle, so you can cover up that exact middle with your pencil point or your eraser. And I can see the lower half and I can see the upper. My lower exact middle is 2, and that's going to be Q what?
1.
And then my upper's exact middle, and that's what you need to know at this time. So we know our Q1, our Q2, and Q3. Do we all understand up to that point? Then I need to know what's my minimum number and what is my maximum number. What's my minimum number? 1 is my minimum, and then 10 is my
Maximum.
So if you know that, you can make your box and whisker. Your box is going to be made up of Q1, Q2, and Q3. And this is why I've been making you do vertical lines. My Q1 is what number?
2.
Put a vertical line on it. My Q2 is what number?
5.
Put a vertical line on it. My Q3 is what number?
9.
Put a vertical line on it. And you just made one big box split into 2 parts. You just made one big box split into 2 parts. The beginning of the box is quartile 1. The beginning of the box is quartile 1. It could also be called your lower quartile. Another key word that you need to memorize is if it says lower quartile, that lower quartile is quartile 1. So again, it's the beginning of the box. Y'all want to write out all of the word beginning? Okay. Q2 is going to be the middle of the box, and that is also called the
Quartile 2. Median.
quartile 2, which is the median. That's the mid of the box. And the end of the box is quartile 3, and instead of saying quartile 1's the lower, quartile 3 is the higher, upper, and it's going to be the end of the box. The beginning is quartile 1, and the end is quartile 3. The lower is quartile 1, the upper is quartile 3. That's my box. Now there's something else with this graph, because the top of the lesson, what does it say on top of the lesson paper? Box and
Whisker.
now I need to know where my whiskers are, and it's the minimum and the maximum. My minimum is 1, so I'm going to put a dot. My maximum is 10. I'm going to put another dot, and I'm going to make my whiskers. And that's box and whiskers.
You should put multiple lines. I never seen nobody have one whisker.
It's like a cat plot.
So we have our box and whisker. So we're not looking at 1 and 2 right now. Do not mark it out. We'll come back to that later for practice. I want y'all to look at 3 and 4, because this is technically how you would see it on a test. 4 is more of a 7th and 8th grade question, because this from 7th and 8th grade packet. We are going to go ahead and learn how to do it. Get it? Got it? Okay. So, you have to identify Q1, Q2, Q3. But real quick, tell me what is the other word for Q1. Look over there on the left. Lower. Q2 is called the middle, or you can say median. Q3 is called the upper. And then minimum and maximum, we'll write the numbers beside it. And you could call that least or greatest. Get it? Got it? So, number 3 said, according to the box and whisker plot, identify the lower, the upper, and the median. The lower quartile, the upper quartile, and the median. You know lower as Q1. You know upper as Q3. Is this any different than what we've been doing? No. Now, you just learned Q1 is the beginning of the box. Q1 is the beginning of the box. So where does the beginning of the box begin?
To the left.
What number?
4.
The beginning of the box. Where's the box?
4.
There we go. 4. Where is the middle of the box?
6.
Where's the beginning of the box? Excuse me.
8.
The end of the box.
8.
So that's Q3. And then my whiskers are my minimum and my maximum number. Minimum,
2.
maximum.
8.
Is it 8?
Wait.
9.
The whisker, where's the whisker? 9. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is why everybody loves box and whiskers on a test, because you get this and you're asked to find the interquartile range. You only have to see this. Well, Q3 is what? 8. Q1 is what? 4. 8 minus 4 is? 4. That's why they love it, because you can see Q3 is 8, Q1 is 4, and 8 minus 4 is? 4. Then you might be asked, hey, what's your median? 6. And then they might ask, hey, what's your range? Well, 9 minus 2 is? 7. So did you have to work out anything there? No, it's just recognizing, do you know how to read this graph? All right, so you're going to do this again. You do not have to write out lower, median, upper, but you do need to write out Q1, Q2, Q3, min, and max over here. So let's do it and identify it. You're going to have a question on max, so you can leave that one blank if you do not know how to do it. You can leave the maximum blank if you do not know how to do it. Thumbs up once you have Q1, 2, 3, min, and max identified. What's Q1?
4.
Q2?
7.
Q3?
8.
Min?
1.
Max?
10.
All right, class to class. 10 is the end of the number line. Do we see a whisker on that side? No, but what would the maximum of the data set be? 8. And why do you think it's the end of the box, and it might be the whisker. It is the whisker as well.
Because
What do you
in
think?
the number one is probably like one, like that mid.
What do you think's happening to 8?
It's the it's the
8 is gonna be repeating itself over and over and over again. Okay, that's why that would be that. And this is something that you would have to do inferencing with when you get to 7th and 8th grade. Okay, so you're just learning how to make and read when the graphs. When you get to 7th and 8th grade, you're going to have to inference what's the possible data sets for this. Okay, all right, so moving on to the back. Here's your reminder. What is this first little dot representing?
the whisker.
Okay, minimum. What is this first vertical line representing? Second vertical line representing median or all right, and then the third vertical line, and then my final dot, maximum. Go ahead and work everything here. If you're watching this video, pause the video and work 1 through 6. Work 1 through 6. What is another word for greatest value?
Maximum.
What's the maximum? It's kind of hard to see what's in between 90 and 100 when you're just looking at this, and then that's when you need to look at A through D to do process of elimination. There's only one value that's in between 90 and 100 here. Okay, what is the median? 30. What is another word for median? What could they also have asked? Q2. Or they could have said, hey, what's the measure of center? Instead. Because what is a measure of center? Median. Okay. And then what is the interquartile range? And I'm going to zoom out so we can see this better. What is the interquartile range? What do I need to look at to find the interquartile range?
And then Q3.
Q1 and Q3.
And
So
then you subtract them from each other. and you get
Q3 minus Q1. Well, what was Q3?
60.
What was Q1? 20. And 60 minus 20 is?
40.
40. So your answer is
B.
B, 40. And then range is max minus min. What's my maximum?
85. 95.
What's my minimum?
10.
Now what's my answer?
85.
You're still cool. Alright, so real quick, just tell me this. IQR with a box and whisker plot, all I need to look at is the beginning of the box and the end of the box. All I need to look at is the beginning of the box and the end of the box. If it's asking for IQ, if it's asking for median, I just need to look at the what of the box.
Whisker.
If it's asking about median,
the middle
the
line.
middle of the box. Okay. And if it's asking about range, then I look at the,
Whisker.
there we go. But which one is this asking about?
IQR.
Okay, so I look at the beginning and the end of the box. Well, the end of the box would be my Q3 is in between 4 and 5. And what's in between 4 and 5?
4.5.
And then the beginning of the box is my Q1. And what number is that?
2.
And then I subtract.
And you get 2.5.
All right, now my next one, number 6, you definitely need to know how to do A through D on this, okay? Which statements are true about the data set below? Select all the possible answers. So looking at A, quartile 2 is my middle box. It's the middle of the box. It says that it's on to, but what is it on? It would be on 3 focus. Quartile 2 is not on 2, it is on what? 3.5. So is that my answer?
No.
My range is max minus min. Well, my whiskers are 10 and 1. So 10 minus 1 is what? Is that my answer?
Yes.
And then quartile 1, it says it's on 1, but quartile 1 is on
2.
And quartile 3 says it's on 4, but it's not. It's on
4.5.
4.5, 4.5. So at this time, what you know from what you've learned this week, B is your answer. E and F, we're going to answer. But it's a see you later. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you just the easy, simple trick. This is when we start learning about shape of data next week on Tuesday. It's our last lesson on statistics. So, you see my whiskers extending from the box, right? You see the whiskers extending from the box. What side's the longest?
Right.
So it's skewed to the right. It's skewed to the right. If you can't remember whiskers, what side is the longest tail on? The right. They might, instead of saying skewed, they might use the keyword tailed. Okay?
So it's basically like a cat.
Okay? So which one has the longest tail, or which one is skewed? Which way is it skewed? Which one's the longest whisker, longest tail?
F, right.
Go into the right, F. Okay? Now, bringing everything that we've learned together for today, for the end. When you're on a test and you are given a data set, you are going to be given A, B, C, and D. And on A, B, C, and D is going to be a bunch of different... I'll wait until we're ready. Are we ready? The hardest question with box and whiskers is when they give you a data set and they say which box and whisker matches the data set. And that data set's not going to be in order. It's going to be a level 3 problem, and you're going to have to draw out a box and whisker plot, or you'll just only have to identify Q1, Q2, and Q3, or your minimum or your maximum. You will not have to draw out number lines, okay? But you will have to recognize it on a number line. But I'm going to show you the quick and easy way to do it without a number line. You ready? Put your data from least to greatest. 1, 1. I think there might be a 2. I can't remember.
There is.
Okay, 2, 3, 3.
6,
8, 9, 10.
How many nines?
2.
And then a
10.
So again, you'll only have to recognize it on a number line. You will not have to put it on a number line. Okay? But this is what you will solve to find out your Q1, your Q2, your Q3, and your minimum and maximum. You ready? Find my Q2. Find Q2. Q2 is finding the...
Median.
Do I know it exactly?
4.5.
Well,
Nope.
now I do. What's my median? You're fine. I'm just picking on you. What's my median? 4 point what? 5. Good job. 4.5. And that's going to be my Q what? 2. All right. Since it's not an exact one, we include 3 and 6 in our data halves, okay? So what's the median of the lower half?
2.
And that's why they call it the lower quartile. Q1. And then median of my upper half, and that's why they call it the upper quartile. Now you ready? This is why I've been making you make these vertical lines when we find these and label them. Our number line is going to be 1 through what? It doesn't have to be perfect. This is math class, not art class. We're going to be fast and efficient. So then all I have to do is just go draw my boxes and my whiskers on this number line. I do.
We do.
All right. So my first whisker dot is on 1. My second whisker dot is on. My first vertical line is going to be on the number 2. My second vertical line is going to be in between what? 4.5. Because quartile 2 was 4.5. And then my third vertical line is going to be on number 9. So all I do is draw my box. And then here's my whiskers. Is box and whisker plots hard? No, they actually make your life easier when you're trying to find IQR, range, and median. Okay? So, turning our paper over, you see your bell work for tomorrow. It's 3 problems. I do not want you to worry about, this is your bell work for tomorrow, after test. Bell work after what?
Test.
We are going to put this on the number line together. But what I want you to do is identify Q1, Q2, Q3, and your minimum and maximum. And how I want you to do that is just doing what we did up top, right here. You see all this right here? That's how I want you to do it. So let me go ahead and get you started out. You ready? So, put our numbers from... And I left all this over here blank so you don't have to go get another sheet of
Paper.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. So,
9, 11, 14, 17, 23, 29, 32, 32.
hold up, 29, 30, 32, 32, and 39. So all you have to do on each one of these is find your Q1, your Q2, your Q3, and remember to draw your vertical lines, and then your minimum, which would be a
Whisker.
dot for a whisker, yep. And our maximum will be a dot for a whisker. From Q1 all the way to Q3 will be your box, and then you attach your whiskers. I just want you to identify them in the set and draw a box and whisker plot here. We'll do that on the number line together when we go over this for bell work. Get it? Got it?
Good.
So bell work after the test tomorrow is doing this. Anybody have any questions? Okay. You'll have a 10-question test tomorrow on dividing fractions and graphing inequalities. Then you'll do your bell work, and then we'll have our lesson. Get it? Got it?
Good.
Everybody quietly, not super loud, say bye and have a great day.
Bye.